So hi everyone, welcome back to Seduce Me. So we're gonna start with the holiday episode today. So let's just get right into it. We're still gonna be doing Sam's route, because we're just going through all of Sam's route for the time being. Just to make sure things aren't repetitive. And we're gonna go with Alice again. New Year's Eve. A holiday celebrated internationally. It was one of those turns of time that no one on this earth could avoid. It was the one thing to spend it alone, hoping for the best and being unsure of the future ahead of you. It was also another thing to spend it at parties, throwing a drink at the past you trudged through and dancing the night away. It was a very different story when the turn of the year and the future beyond also somehow involved demons. The 5 incubi boys who had come into my life managed to stay in my home throughout the year following my final high school quarter, and past my graduation. Even as I entered college, they remained supportive and surprisingly eager to stick around. Unfortunately, they were still freshly known to my family and friends, thus why I had to spend my holiday without them. My family had insisted on me returning to their house and spending the holidays before New Year's with them. While bringing the incubi along seemed like a good idea, the boys collectively wanted to spend the holidays together and did not want to intrude on my family this year. After all, my parents still believed that they were the house servants. Bringing even one of them home for the holidays would have been an interesting story. However, I was devoted to spending some holiday time with them for the end of the year. When I was invited to places for New Year's Eve by both friends and family, I decided to stay home with the incubi. A part of me felt majorly excited. Another part of me felt like slapping myself over and over for letting them convince me that waiting for my holiday present was worth it. Still, it was rather hilarious to see them prepare New Year's dinner.
Oh my god! Sam, get out of the kitchen! Shut up, you little runt! I just want to look!
You're in the way, Sam. Out!
Yeah, fine, sheesh.
We told you not to go in there.
We did, Sam.
I swear to God I will hurt both of you.
That's no way to start the new year.
Sam was completely right to feel impatient. James and Matthew had assigned themselves to making the New Year's dinner, and had pulled out every recipe book in the library just to make sure they had the perfect menu. The aromas that wafted from the kitchen were intoxicating, and almost heavenly. I felt my mouth water just from the scent. It didn't help that the kitchen had pretty much become locked territory. Unless you wanted any info from James and Matthew combined, then it was best that you stayed out of their workspace. More teasing. Great. Whatever they're making smells amazing.
It is. They're almost done though, so we won't be waiting long.
Well, that's good. They've been working all day on food.
Man, they need to hurry the hell up.
Quit being impatient, Sam.
Sam opened his mouth to fight back, but instantly shut it, most likely thinking the better of it, and grumbled under his breath as he turned to sit at the table. Soon enough, James and Matthew began to carry large plates to the dining room, setting them methodically around the table so everyone had a chance to get what they wanted, regardless of where they sat. I was stunned once more by the sheer amount of food prepared, topped only by the intense aroma that melded almost perfectly in the air. It was like they were trying to take the record of how much food can be placed on the table from when they'd arrived. At that thought, I took a moment to realize something. It had almost been a full year since the incubi appeared in my life. I had graduated and was now experiencing my first year of college with the incubi beside me. Now, here I was, about to enter a new year with them in my life. I couldn't help but let a smile creep onto my face from the thought.
Is everything all right?
Huh? I looked up, not realizing how lost in my thoughts I was, and came face to face with all 5 boys looking at me in concern. Crap. I shook my head and took a moment to recollect myself before smiling once more. Sorry, I was just lost in thought.
Huh? What were you thinking about?
From the look on the boys' faces, all of them were curious to know. Did I want to be the cheesy nostalgic that brought up the past? I'm gonna say sure. I couldn't help the thoughts from appearing in my head. Might as well enjoy it with the rest of the group. I ran a hand through my hair and chuckled softly. Well, it's been almost a full year since we met, you know? I was just thinking about that. The boys stared at me before looking to each other in the same surprised realization.
Oh crap, that's right! We came here somewhere around April, right?
We did. Has it really been that long?
Damn, it feels like we only came here a short while ago.
Well, we've been here for a little over a year, and we've known you since April, so that's around 8 months.
Wow. To think we'd find ourselves in the company of such a wonderful woman within a year of being in the human world. We must be blessed.
I couldn't help but roll my eyes at Eric's comment, while the others did as well in slight annoyance. Matthew and James continued to set up dinner while I became lost in my thoughts again. The memories of the past slowly flickered in my mind. Our first dinner, the house party, Alex and Diana. It was all surreal to remember, but they were real events in my life. Especially since I had my eyes on... I could only watch in slight awe as my brown-haired, emerald-eyed incubus leaned back in his seat, stretching out slightly and making the muscles that weren't hidden under his clothes tense and flex. Sam was like a hero come to life. Strong, fast, and protective of those he loved and believed in. Being a police officer gave him the chance to be a local hero for sure, but he would always be mine first. Sure, he was a little rough on the outside layer of his personality, but I know that deep inside he loved me just as much as I loved him, and that was all that mattered. Sam finally turned his head to me and gave a little smirk, causing me to stick my tongue out at him. He was mine and I was his, so I was free to look whenever I wanted. Even at the price of him never letting me down from it. Finally, the table was set and we were all seated, ready to dig in.
I gotta admit, you and James did good, Matthew.
Thanks, Sam.
Sam and Matthew not fighting? It's a winter's miracle.
Hey, I'm not a complete asshole to him. Only sometimes.
Well, it is the turn of the human year, so it's a good way to get the habit of being nice started.
Very true.
Damien laughed and I couldn't help but do the same. However, one curiosity burned in my mind. Hey, I have a question.
Yes? What is it?
What did you do last New Year's Eve? I'd remembered them telling me that they'd been in the human world for a full 6 months before my grandfather passed away. If that was the case, then this wasn't their first New Year's Eve. The boys took in the question and looked to each other.
Didn't we go to, like, New York or something?
Nah, we were on another continent by then. Like, Europe or something?
London. We were in London.
I remember that. We had such a fun time walking around and taking in the sights.
We were on the giant Ferris wheel when midnight came. It was amazing to see all of the fireworks from it.
Yes. The London Eye was closed off for the public, but since we were friends of Harold Anderson, we were allowed access and were lifted to the very top of it. A perfect view of the sky during the celebration.
Matthew couldn't stop jumping all over the damn place from how excited he was.
Hey, you were excited about it too. All of us were.
Very fair, Matthew. Still, has it really been a year since then? So much has happened since.
The boys seemed to trail off into their own nostalgic memories, mentioning events of their trip around the world thanks to my grandfather. While I was happy for them, a little part of me felt left out. Sure, I didn't know them, but to have experienced the world with them would have been a dream. Maybe we could go somewhere in the future. Heck, maybe I'd be able to see the demon world. However, who knew the future? It was an unknown fabric of time that I'd yet to explore. That no one had yet explored. All I knew was that now I was in the incubi's lives and I was going to see the new year come with them in my life. I looked to my glass, seeing it full of my favorite drink, courtesy of James, while I was setting up dinner. My own reflection greeted me and I felt myself naturally take hold of it and lift it. At last, the boys stopped talking and looked over at me in curiosity. As they noted my raised glass, I smiled. May I propose a toast?
Oh? A toast for what, princess?
Future. The boys listened intently as I looked up to my glass in a new hope. The future was a mystery indeed, and while I wasn't part of the incubi's past in the human world, I was more than happy to be part of their future. To a future unknown, but a future I hope to explore with you all. Silence consumed the air as the boys took in what I'd said. Did they realize the same thing I noticed? Finally, Sam raised his glass and cleared his throat, gaining the attention of his brothers.
Yeah, to our future. Sounds good.
As his brothers nodded and lifted their glasses as well for the toast, Sam looked to me and gave me a small smile. One I could tell was full of love and understanding. Cheers! At that, we all drank to our toast. A future that was still unknown to me. I couldn't wait to experience it, but I was certain that my future was going to be absolutely grand. My heart couldn't stop pulsing with joy at the thought. I was excited to experience what was to come. We ate dinner and talked about the potential things that could happen in the future. New businesses, possible trips, the works. For the first time, I felt like I was part of the family as I was listened to and spoke just as much as each incubus. However, as the sudden flare of fireworks flashed outside the windows and the sound wave echoed behind the glass, the boys flinched and looked over in shock.
What the hell?
Fireworks?
But it's not midnight yet.
It's the pre-celebration fireworks.
You have those?
Sort of. The school in this area loves to order a lot of fireworks and likes to set off the extras before New Year's come around.
What are you waiting for? We're gonna miss the fireworks show!
The boys and I all looked to each other and grinned before heading to the door. Wow. The sky was filled with softly falling snow. Each snowflake and star was illuminated by the bright, colorful lights of the far-off fireworks. I'd seen them before, but to see them in an open sky, not surrounded by suburban trees, was a whole different experience.
Holy crap.
It's all so beautiful.
Absolutely, Damien.
Truly magnificent.
You got that right.
I looked up to Sam and couldn't help but get a devilish idea, seeing him become entranced by the sight of the fireworks. Going through with my thoughts, I playfully pushed him into the snow, catching him off guard.
Whoa!
I love this CG, it looks adorable. While, okay, I'll give it that. I love the new CG style, I just don't like the new sprite style. But then in the first game, I loved the sprite style, but I hated the CG style. So I guess it kind of balances out, really. The snow pile beside us almost exploded like a wave splash as Sam landed in the snow and looked up at me in shock. With a goofy grin, I stuck my tongue out at him. Sorry, had to. You just looked so adorable. Instead of getting up, Sam simply grinned at me and laughed.
God, I love you, you doofus.
I smiled and laughed, nodding in agreement. We would have many chances to make memories and make each other smile. I let my playfulness melt into a loving smile, causing Sam to stare at me in confusion. I can't wait to see the new year with you. Sam stared for a moment before chuckling and nodding in reply.
And I can't wait to see it with you too.
Who could argue with that? It was at that moment I knew deep in my heart that I would have my happily ever after somewhere in that unknown future. Let the new year come. I was ready. And there we go. That was the holiday episode. I know it was short, I know it was short-lived, but it was absolutely adorable. This is gonna be a short video, I know as much, but don't expect this to be the last. Obviously, I'm gonna go through all of the mini episodes, and I'm gonna go through Seduce Me 2 as well. Seduce Me 2 is gonna be a hell of a lot longer So kind of just think of this as just an extension to Seduce Me 1, really. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay sharp, cite your problems, and I'll see you in the next video, which will definitely, most definitely, be another one of these mini after stories. From the Sound Swordsman. Goodbye!